In today's video, I'm going to be answering all of you guys' most frequently asked questions about my filming and editing process, including what camera I use, how I get my blurry backgrounds, what editing software I use, how my audio and lighting has gotten so much better than it used to be, how I get all of my video pop-ups like these on screen, where I get all of my copyright-free music from, and all things like that about my creative process and how I make my videos. That's all coming right up. Hey, what's up you guys? It's Annie. Welcome back to my channel where I help you guys take the confusion out of growth on YouTube and grow the successful YouTube channel of your dreams. So before we get into today's video, I have to give away today's shoutouts. So here are my YouTube and Instagram shoutouts for today's video. Thank you guys so much for following me and supporting all of my platforms. Really means the world to me. If you guys want to be my next mention in my next video, all you have to do is stay active on my Instagram and my YouTube channel, and I pick 2 people at random for each one of my videos to keep it fair for everybody. And now without further ado, let's jump into how I make, film, and edit all of my YouTube videos. So first, let's start off with my camera. So the camera I use to film all of my videos is the Canon 70D. It is a DSLR camera that is retailed around $530 USD. So the things I love most about this camera are number one, the autofocus. So no matter where I am moving throughout this video, the autofocus just kind of like follows me and keeps me in focus, which is one less thing to worry about when I am filming, because if I film a 20-minute video that takes up a lot of my time, I don't want to have to worry about what if it's all out of focus, what if I go to edit it and the whole thing was out of focus. So by having a camera that autofocuses and has a very fast autofocus, I can rest assured that no matter where I'm moving and what I'm doing, I'm always staying in focus. A second thing I love about this camera is that it has a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built into it that connects to my iPhone. So whether I'm using the camera for Instagram pictures or YouTube videos, I can turn my phone and or my computer into a remote for my camera and control my camera with my phone and or my laptop. So that's one more thing that really helps me with the whole creative process that I really love about this camera. And then there's also a whole load of tech specs and like technical things that make this camera a really good one, but because I know nothing about tech, I will not pretend to be tech savvy or know any of this stuff is, so I will just chalk it up to and tell you guys it has a lot of built-in stuff that makes it a really awesome camera for both photography and YouTube video making. So then for a very popular question I get all the time is, how do you get blurry backgrounds like this one in your videos? So this all comes down to the lens that I use. I use the Sigma 30mm 1.4 lens, which retails at about $430 USD. So basically how this works is the 1.4 part of the lens name is the aperture. So most lenses have a 1.4 aperture, a 5.0 aperture, and basically the aperture is how much light is let into the lens, and depending on how high or low the aperture is, that is how blurry or unblurry the video background is. So if you have a aperture closer to 0 that is very blurry, then further away from 0 is less blurry. I also love this lens because it is what's known as a soft lens. So a lot of other lenses have a very sharp looking background, but this one is more like soft and smooth looking. If you watch the videos, the quality is very soft and smooth looking. So that is one more thing that artistically I love, that the lens gives like that sort of look to it. So that is essentially how I get this look in my videos and the blurry background. This lens is definitely not the only thing out there that gives you a blurry background. Literally anything with a low aperture will give you one. So if you are shopping around for that blurry background look so many people are chasing after, then just get something with a low aperture and that gives you the same effect. So then on to tripods. So tripods are not really something a lot of people consider to be very important, but considering my tripod is holding a $500 camera, I take it very seriously to have a very stable, very high quality tripod. So basically I just went on to Amazon and searched up tripods and looked for the best high quality, high rated one I could find, and the one everybody and their mother talked about on YouTube and rated on Amazon was the Amazon Basics tripod, which is actually pretty affordable. It's retailed at about $25, and considering it's a $25 tripod, it is super high quality. So my 2 favorite things about this tripod are number one, the built-in stabilizer. So if I want to use it as a handheld tripod and get like moving shots, it has a built-in stabilizer, which will help me to have more smooth shots and less like bumpy, rigidy type of video. And also my second favorite part is the adjustability. So the tripod can either go very tall or very short. So depending on if I'm filming somewhere very high up or very low to the ground, if I want to get a more like overhead shot or more like straight down shot, depending on which angle or heights I want, the tripod is very adjustable and has a very diverse range of height to it. So it is again very useful for many different things and many tripod uses, which is just one more reason why I love it. So then we move into lighting, and lighting is one of the most important parts in video making in my opinion, because it is the difference between having a very well lit video and a very dark, grainy, not so aesthetically pleasing video. So I take lighting very, very seriously. Now, lighting all comes down to personal preference. Some people prefer a more natural lighting from like a big bay window. Some people prefer to have a more artificial lighting from a ring light or a softbox or an umbrella light. All that comes down to personal preference. Now, I've tried it all. I've tried softboxes, umbrella lights, ring lights, natural lighting. My favorite by far is the ring light. That's what I currently use, what I've been using for probably about a year and a half now. So I use the newer studio ring light. That is a very popular one, a very highly rated one. It retails at about $100 USD. Honestly, there is a list longer than my arm of things I love about it. I love the adjustable brightness, so I can have a very, very, very bright video or a much less bright video depending on different surrounding circumstances. It is also, like my tripod, very, very adjustable, so it can be either very, very tall or very, very short. So depending on if I want to light up the entire room or just one section of my video, then it is a very diverse, very useful light to have because it has multiple different angles, heights, brightness levels, and a lot of different things you can basically adjust to your own personal preference. So that is the best lighting I've ever personally owned, and I absolutely love it. So then as for audio, I get a lot of questions about my audio because it is no secret that less than a year ago I had crap audio, to the point that I literally got comments from people saying, I love your videos, love your advice, but your audio quality is too distracting, I can't handle it. And I agreed. It was horrible, very echo, very muffled, very grainy audio that just didn't sound very good. So I upgraded and got a studio microphone. The one I currently use is the Blue Yeti microphone, which is retailed at about $129, $130 US. That is one thing I did not think twice about investing into because I think lighting and audio are the two most important factors in your filming equipment. So when I wanted to invest in a microphone, I wanted a very good quality one, and that is the one I chose to invest in. So for actually getting my audio, what I do is I basically just set up the microphone in front of me, in front of my camera. I plug it into my MacBook through a USB adapter, and then I record directly in Audacity, which is a free audio editing, audio recording software that many people use for YouTube videos, video making, podcasts, and lots of stuff like that, where basically once I'm done with my audio, done recording my videos, I can then use a wide range of different effects to make it sound more professional, more studio quality. I add things like noise removal, normalizer, limiter, stuff like that. I will again not pretend to know what any of that means. I just watched a whole bunch of Audacity tutorials on YouTube, did whatever the videos said, and found a quality that I really liked in my audio. So that is how I achieve the more studio, more professional sounding audio I have now versus what I used to have. And I've gotten so many compliments on my audio since then. So that is what I use to both record and edit my audio for my videos. So that is pretty much it for all of my filming equipment, how I film and how I make my videos. And now let's jump into the editing portion of this video. So the very first question I always get about my editing, I'm not even kidding, I get asked this every single day on my videos, my live streams and DMs, is what editing software do you use, what editing software do you recommend, and all that kind of stuff. So for all of my editing, I use Final Cut Pro, which is the Apple editing software for all Apple computers like MacBooks, iMacs, Mac Minis. A lot of people ask me what is the best editing software, what do you recommend, which one should I get? I honestly think that editing softwares are a very personal choice, comes down to personal preference. I think you really have to identify what is your personal editing style and find a editing software that allows you to use and express that style. And for me, that was Final Cut Pro. So maybe in other people's preferences, they prefer like DaVinci Resolve or Premiere Pro. But for me personally, I love Final Cut Pro. I love the tools I have. I love the things it lets me do. And most importantly, it allows me to express my personal creative style, which of course I love. So for all of my editing, I use Final Cut Pro. So the first thing I do in Final Cut is I will import in my video and audio clips. Then I will select the video and the audio file and go to sync audio and video, which turns it into one clip instead of two and makes it look and sound like one clip instead of two that were recorded separately. It all looks and sounds like one clip. So then I drag and drop the newly synced clip into the timeline, go over to the audio effects and drag in the limiter and the compressor. Again, don't ask me what those do. I have no clue. I just watched a ton of Final Cut Pro tutorials about audio editing, and those are the two effects I learned and heard of that I like best for my style. So that is the first thing I do when I'm editing my videos. So then I move in to color correction. So first thing I do for color correction is go to the balance Sound's color tool, which is kind of like a auto color corrector. So basically Final Cut does whatever they think makes it look best. I don't always like exactly the effects that Final Cut Pro gives, but it's a good place to kind of like start, like lay down the foundation. Then I go over to the color board and kind of like mess around with different types of colors to change the hues and tones or whatever. I usually prefer a more cooler tone versus a warmer tone, but again, every editor is different. Everybody has different styles and preferences. That is just mine. So after that, then I bring up the color curves. And on the color curves, I make a point on each one of the colors, so like red, orange, yellow, green, all the way through, and then bring the different color curves up and down to either add in or take away certain colors, and again, bring it into my personal preference. And you can see once I've done all of my color correction, it is a very different video from when I first started and first brought it into Final Cut before all of my color correction. So then we go into the most unglamorous part of editing, and if you ask literally any editor or any YouTuber on the face of YouTube, they're all going to agree this is the worst part. And we call this the rough cut. So this is where you basically go through and cut out all of the awkward pauses or mistakes you made or footage you don't want to include anymore. So I hit Command B on my MacBook keyboard to basically bring up the cutting tool. I make a mark where I want to start a clip, another one where I want to end the clip, and then take out what I don't want. And I basically just zoom through the entire video and cut out what I don't want and keep in what I do want. Now, one life hack I have begun using that makes this process so much faster is I basically use the sound waves on the video to know where to start and end a clip. So rather than having to watch the entire video and edit the entire video, I just use these sound waves to let me know where to start and end clips, and that literally cuts my cutting time in half. At least. So that is one editing life hack that makes editing for me so much easier. So next part is the super fun part, the oregano, if you will, to spice up my video. So this is where I start adding like titles, transitions, effects, and pop-ups, and all of that kind of stuff. So what I do for this is once I've done the rough cut, I go back to the beginning of the video and I kind of watch it through as if I was the viewer, and I start to add in different things as I so choose them and as I find them to be appropriate for that time in the video. So if I start a new point in the video, I know to add a title. If I mention like an analytic or something, I will add a screenshot of that analytic. When I'm mentioning to subscribe to my channel, I make a little subscribe button pop up and all that kind of stuff. So to add my text and titles, I go over to the title tab where I have all of my plugins. So plugins are basically things I purchase from websites like Pixel Film Studios, Video Hive, and stuff like that, where basically they have a bunch of plugins you can drag and drop into your video that kind of like does the editing for you and kind of saves you a lot of time. So I will just pick the title I think matches that video best. I drag and drop it on top of the clip where I want it to show up, and then just go over to the little editing tab, take out the default text and put in my own what I want it to say. And then sometimes I will change the sizing or the color to match my preference and that video. And then also sometimes move it around the screen if it's more in the center and I want it more towards the bottom. Then I just move it around wherever I want the text or effect to pop up in the video. But that is how I get all of the fancy looking text and titles you guys always ask me about. So then as for pop-ups, it's basically the same thing. If I want the little subscribe button or my little Instagram follower tool thing, whatever, then I go over to the plugins, go to the plugin pack that has those pop-ups, and I will drag and drop it where I want it to show up. Again, I will size and move it as I so choose, and that is how I get those little text effects and pop-ups to show up in my videos. So then as for transitions kind of work exactly as the titles do. So I will make a mark between the two different clips I want a transition to show up between, then go over to the transitions pack, again pick the plugin I want to use. Again, majority of my plugins come from Pixel Film Studios, so I just go through them, find the one that I want to use, I will drag and drop it between the two different clips, and that is what adds a little transition between clips and adds little kind of motion effect you guys see in my videos. And then the last step of my editing is adding music. So we all know as YouTubers that copyright music, non-copyrighted music, copyright claims, that whole thing is a real headache and not much fun to deal with. So a lot of people use like either YouTube Audio Library or Thematic or Epidemic Sound or stuff like that. But what I find is that a lot of people now are using the same music, so it's not very easy to be unique with your music, if you will. So I've had to kind of find other websites and things not everybody else is using to try to have mine sound a bit more unique. So for mine, I use a website called Bensound, where all you do is just find the music you want to use, download it for your videos, and then copy the credit link. So basically basically all you do is in your description box, you give credit to the artist, and that is how you get permission to use the music for free and not have to pay for it. So I just go through the website, find the music I want to use, then I will download it to my computer, drag and drop it into Final Cut Pro underneath of the video, and then I adjust the volume of the music because if not, it like totally drowns out the talking. The music is like way too overwhelming. So I usually put it between the -40 and -55 range to keep it sort of like quiet enough to not drown out the talking, but also loud enough that you actually hear it in the video, and that is how I get my copyright-free music. So then once I've done all of that, I am pretty much finished with my entire video. So all that I do now is just go back to the beginning and watch it through as if I was the viewer. Make sure that there are no points where I kind of nod off or get bored, try to make them as interesting as possible, and as a viewer would I find it interesting or kind of boring, and then just adjust the video as I see fit. Then once I'm done with that, I go ahead and export my video from Final Cut to then be able to upload the videos to YouTube. And that is pretty much it for how I film and edit my videos. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully if you've ever had questions about my editing process, my filming equipment, my blurry backgrounds, my pop-ups, all of that, then hopefully this answered those questions for you. If you have any more questions, feel free to comment them down below and I am more than glad to answer them for you. But besides that, I hope you guys really enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. Love you all to the moon and back, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!